Good afternoon, everyone. For the third session of day 2, Atal sponsored faculty development program on robot welding and welding automation. This session is on stress management by Dr. Rupa Rani. Dr. Rupa Rani is a visiting professor in the Department of Mechanical Engineering, PSG College of Technology. She has worked in various research projects, especially in ultrasonic welding, and has published several research articles. She is also a consultant for tool design for ultrasonic welding. She has conducted many number of workshops for the students and other people on this topic. Thank you so much, ma'am, for accepting our invitation to deliver a talk. The session is yours.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you for this warm welcome and introduction. I hope I'm clear. I'm using earphones. That's the reason.
Fine, ma'am. It's fine.
Okay.
Perfectly fine. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. A very good afternoon to all the participants. I hope you all had your lunch, and I know it's a little bit tired feeling you have after lunch, but I hope you will enjoy this session because it's going to be very interesting. So if you can have a pen and pad with you, it will be good, because what I'm going to share with you will be not only useful now, but later on in your life also. So all the research scholars, PG students, and of course all my colleagues, if you can have a pen and pad and earphones also, because we are going to do a process later, it will be really helpful. So welcome to this session on stress management. So as we know, we are all facing this pandemic at present, and many of us are going through a stressful situation, mainly because of this unknown problem, challenging situation that has come in front of us. We don't know how to respond, and this situation has caused us a lot of uncertainty about the future. We are all constrained in our homes. We are a little bit scared of the infection if we have to travel outside. So many things are bogging us down, and many of us are feeling this stress both at the emotional and the mental level. Many of us are aware of it, many of us may not be knowing about it, but still we are experiencing the effects of stress in a variety of ways. So how to deal with this stress? Can we do something about it? How to manage our life and make it more productive during this time and also in the future? So let me share with you some of the slides which I have put together, and I think which will be very interesting to all of you. So allow me to share that PPT with you. I hope it's visible to all of you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this stress management module was done especially for this time period, during the lockdown period, when I found many of my students were feeling very low. You know, I shared this with them, and they felt really very happy and positive about it after sharing this with them. So then it went on to faculty and other members, and that's how people came to know about this stress module. So today it is my pleasure that I'm sharing with all of you in this faculty development program for the robotics and automation engineering department. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. So during this in this session, I'll be telling you about the causes of stress, because we have to understand stress, how it is and how it affects our mental and emotional state of being. And what are the triggers of stress? What causes stress? And what are its effects? How it affects our mental and physical being. Then apart from that, I'll also be sharing some techniques, very useful techniques to help us manage stress effectively, and also some healthy habits which we can incorporate into our daily life, so that we are steer clear of this stress zone. We are away from the stress zone. Also, in the end, I'll be sharing a very beautiful and a simple process, which which will keep you away from stress, which will keep you motivated, focused, concentrated, happy, and very positive if you can participate in that process. So these are all the takeaways which will be there in this presentation. So let us begin. Let me take you ahead on this journey. So now, before starting, if I ask you, what is that causing you stress at this point of time? What is the which is causing you stress? Can you identify any stress which is affecting you at this point of time? Maybe it is emotional, maybe it is some related to some relationship issue, or some work related issue, or maybe the pandemic itself. Whatever it is, just make a point of it. Take a few moments, identify the stress which you are experiencing. Even maybe it's there, but not very evident, but something you're feeling about some situation, you can just make it a point over there in your pad. And we'll try to address the stress situation during the course of our session. And if possible, I think you will find the solution in the session itself. Or if you're not addressed your stress situation, we'll take that in the question and answer session, which will be at the end of the program. So now let us understand more about this stress. So as engineers, we all talk about stress and strain, isn't it? Even in the first year of engineering itself, we learn about stress and strain. We understand that when a material is strained, it experiences stress. Similarly, the human body also experiences stress when it does a lot of work or a workout, or a lot of lot of work which is beyond the comfort zone. Or even maybe we have done some physical activity, maybe some exercise itself which is beyond our capacity. At such times also we feel the stress. So that stress is at the physical level. Apart from that, humans experience stress at the emotional and the mental level also, both at the mental and emotional level. And what is this? Why do we experience this stress? What are the reasons for that? So let us understand the first point. When we feel stressed, when things are out of our control, when we feel that things are out of our control. So many a times, even you would have known this, when you found that something is out of control, suddenly you become panicky, you become anxious. What is this? It's not in my control. How can I do? I don't know what to do. You become panicky. For example, we have to reach the airport and I'm going in a cab. I have to reach the airport on time. I've got another 40 minutes to reach the airport, and my car is stuck in a traffic jam. So now I become very anxious. The thing, I don't know what to do. It is out of control. I cannot do anything. I have to just wait for the traffic jam to clear. The thing is out of my control. And I become very panicky. I become stressed because I have to reach the airport on time or my flight is going to be away. So this is one example of things being out of control, and I'm sure we have faced many situations, both in our professional and personal life, when we feel things are out of our control and we become panicky and we become anxious. So this is one of the reasons for causing stress. And what is the other reason? When we feel that we are not able to meet the expectations of resources or situations. Right? So let us take the example that we have a project meeting next week, project review meeting, and many of our members of the team have not yet submitted their part or their findings. Even then we go into a stressful situation because we have a review, we have to meet the expectations of that situation and we're not able to fulfill it. Even then we go into a panic attack. We wonder, what are we going to do? How are we going to present our findings? Still, we have not come up with anything. So then we go into a stressful situation. So majority of the stressful situations can be divided into these two categories. One is when things go out of control, or secondly, when you're not able to meet the expectation of resources or people. So either way, we get into a stressful situation. So how does stress, let us understand about stress more. How does stress affect us? So if you see in the past few years, maybe last 10, 20 years, where life has become very hectic for all of us, very hectic. We are doing a lot of professional duties, so many multitasking in the professional life itself. Also, we have to take care of our families at the personal level. And in between all this, we start feeling the stress because we are attempting too many things at the same time, not knowing which is our priority, which we have to give more importance. And because of all this multitasking, we get into stressful situations at times. So in 2017, an American Psychological Association, they conducted a survey where they found that 80% of the respondents who participated in the survey, they experienced some of the effects of stress in the past 1 month. 80% of the people, they said, yes, we have experienced stress, and this was, I experienced panic attack in the last 1 month. So 80% of the people had experienced one or the other effect of the stress in the past 1 month. So imagine the kind of stress impact stress is having on our lives in the present situation, in our present day-to-day life. So this is how rampant stress has become. So can we say all this stress is very bad or stress is good? Is there something like that? Yes, sometimes stress is good. Like for example, we are participating in some seminar or a conference, and you have to give a speech or a talk, and you are a little bit, stressed. You want to give your best in that conference. So you make all your preparations, and you do, before the presentation, you're a little bit highly stressed because the body is fully active. Fully, it is fully charged. It is in the full out mode, giving mode. It has to perform very well. So in this situation, you actually go beyond your comfort zone, you perform, and then you deliver and you come out of that situation, that stressful situation. Similar is it with the competition also. The sports people participate in a lot of competition. They also undergo stress during that particular competition or situation, and they come out of that situation. So this stress which you faced was for a short duration, and after the situation, you came out of that stressful situation. So during such situations, whatever hormones were released during that period, it actually helped you to perform to the peak of your abilities, and you came out. So this was okay. It was only for a short duration, and those hormones helped you to perform better, and it was a good stress. You can call it as a good stress. It helped you to perform better. But always it's not the case. Many a times we stress over things which are not very good, like some past events. We remember past events and keep on worrying about them, or some work related pressure or a peer pressure. All these causes stress which we keep on accumulating in our mind, and they start taking a toll in our health. So where does this stress appear first? Have you noticed that? The stress first appears in our
Yeah,
mind.
dropping 80% of respondents.
In our mind. Friends, can you mute yourself? I'm able to hear you.
And
Please mute yourself.
1 second. Satyamurthy, sir.
yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir.
Yes, please, sir. Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. So if you observe the stress, first it affects us at the mental level. Once we get into a stressful situation, you become very anxious. You become panicky. Then you lose your sense of focus and concentration. And because of that, you're not able to do the work at hand. Also, it becomes very difficult to do some work because of this loss of concentration and focus. Sometimes you get into deeper states of stress like headaches, sleep problems, and also when it becomes very exaggerated, it goes into depression also for some people. Over a long period of time, if it is not attended to, it becomes depression. So these are extreme cases of stress. So what happens during stressful situation? Here, long-term activation of the body's response system to something, some stress hormones are released during that stressful situation, like cortisol and some stress hormones, which when the body is exposed to a long period of time without our awareness, then it starts manifesting into our physical health also, starts affecting our physical health. And what are these physical problems which affect us? It is like some stomach ulcers, mouth ulcers, digestive problems, weight gain, heart attack, high blood pressure, classic example, high blood pressure because of stress, and many more. So many were there, but I just took a few. I got scared after seeing that. Oh my God, so many problems due to stress. So these are the physical manifestations, of the stress problem, which was not attended to when it appeared at the mental level, and then it started having a ramification at the physical level also. So the awareness, the key here is awareness. Awareness that stress is affecting us and we have to come out of it. Once it starts affecting you at the mental level, take measures, follow some technique tips and come out of the stressful situation. Try to get yourself out of the stressful situation so that later on it doesn't affect your health. So many times, we recently also we have read many articles in the newspaper where we find that people in the age group of 30 to 40 are having heart attacks. And last month, I think there was one young actor from Kashmir. He suffered a heart attack. He was only 26. There was no history of any health issue at all, but suddenly he had a heart attack. This is because of the long-term stress he's exposed to. Without his knowledge, he got this physical ramification of that stress. So here, the only thing we have to be aware is about the stress, awareness of the stress, very, very important. So let us understand what causes stress, at what levels, what triggers the stress. Here I would say that my personal state of being or my attitude towards life situations or circumstances, my personal attitude, how I take this stress. So many people are there who are very cool. They have a very high tolerance about stress. If you give them a lot of challenging situations also, they are able to cope with it without getting panicky or stressful. So it is their response. They're having that kind of response system, or their mental attitude is like that. They are having such a system. It's mainly based on their genetic disposition. Genetically, they are predisposed to having such kind of response. They're very cool about it, and they're having a large tolerance towards stress. On the other end of the scale are persons who become very panicky. Very panicky. If a stressful situation comes, they get into panic mode, and they start worrying about each and every small thing. Even if the meeting is very far away, they keep worrying that how am I going to do, so many things have to be done, and so on, and they become very panicky. So these are two extreme cases. You may have the same situation but two different responses for the same situation. One is very cool about it, the other one is becoming very panicky. And in between these two situations also, between these two, there'll be a lot of different combination, different responses for that same situation. So it all depends upon our personal attitude or my personal state of being to stress, how I'm going to respond to a stressful situation. Second is my relationship with family members. See, we are all living in family, and with most of the time we spend with our family members. And these family members are having some expectations from us, and we have some expectations from them also. And when these expectations don't match, then there's friction in the relationship, and this also causes stress. Right? We have observed this in our life also. We will have some mismatch between our understanding expectations, and it leads to stress. So the third is with colleagues and friends. So we come to the workplace. So first we understood about ourselves, our own response to a stressful situation. We understood about our family expectations and near and dear ones, what is that they expect, and we are not able to sometimes meet their expectation. This also leads to stressful situations. Thirdly, we come to the place where we spend majority of the time, nearly 7 to 8 hours at our workplace with our colleagues, our subordinates, our peers. Here also there's a lot of chances that there's some mismatch happening because of meeting the expectations of people and situations. At such times also it leads to a stressful situation. Something can trigger in the workplace which can lead to a stressful situation. So what is the other trigger is my environment. My environment is the atmosphere in which I'm living in. So we covered the workplace also, and lastly we're understanding about our environment. The environment today is of the pandemic. So this is also causing stress in many ways. Knowingly or unknowingly, we are experiencing stress at various levels. So this is the atmosphere itself is causing the stress. So this is about the surrounding. But suppose if I say that in countries like Syria, countries like Syria where people are living in fear, and women cannot especially come out of their homes alone. They're so scared because of all the terrorist and all that activities going on there. People are very scared to come out. So this atmosphere itself is creating a stressful situation for the people living in such countries. So the atmosphere or the environment also plays a very important role in allowing that human being to enjoy a freedom life, a life of freedom, or having a stressful life. So here we understood what are the triggers that can happen. Your own response, the people near you, your office mates, your colleagues, people at the workplace, or the environment. So all these places, one or the other, can cause a stressful situation. So how are we going to deal with it? So the first question, which I would say, which we can ask ourselves in a stressful situation is it in my control? Is the stress situation in my control? And can we do something about it? If the answer is yes, I can do something about it. Yes, go ahead, give it a try. So let us take the same example that you have a project review meeting in a week's time, and you have to submit the report, the review report, the half yearly report you have to submit to DST. So here what is happening? It is you've got a short notice, but even then you are able to do something about it. You have done some work, and you can consolidate all the work, make the preparation, make the report, and you can present it to DST. So you have got that thing that you can do something about it. You are in a position to do something about it, and you can do it. So you will execute it, even though if it's 80% complete, you will finish that report and present it to DST and come out of the stressful situation. Suppose the answer to this question is no, it is not in my control. Then what do you do? At such times, you accept the situation as it is. Accept the situation as it is and flow with it. So here, the example would be the present pandemic situation. Can we do something about it? Can we go and control the virus outside, which is in the environment? Absolutely not. We cannot do anything about the virus. It is going in its own way. Until we get a medicine or a vaccine for it, there's no control over over the virus. It has its own way. It is spreading wherever it wants, and it's following its own path. The only thing which is in our control is our own personal hygiene. We can keep our hands and all the hygiene things we can follow, sanitize, keep the social distancing, follow all the protocols of the government, and keep maintain our personal hygiene. So this is in our control. Other than that, we can only flow with this situation. We can accept the situation. Yes, it is a global pandemic which is affecting all of us, and all of us are facing this, and we have to flow with this situation. It does not come only for one or two people. So all of us are going to face the situation together and come out of it also together. So this is one example of accepting the situation. So many of our times we can come across situations which are not in our control, but yet we spend a lot of time worrying about it and creating a lot of stress for our own self. Suppose you understand at this point that this situation is not in my control. I have to accept the situation, wait for it, or flow with it. Then trust me, much of your worry will just come down. The level of worry will come down immediately, and your mind will be able to accept it and flow with it. So that is one way of understanding this stressful situation. So first, we can ask ourselves, is it in our control or not? So now let us come to some techniques to manage our stress. What are the techniques? Very nice techniques, very simple, but which we can apply and which we can, enjoy the benefits of it. If we practice it daily and make it a habit in our life, we can really enjoy the benefits of this stress management. First is mental well-being. So earlier we saw the triggers that, where we had triggers like stressful situations were there, and some people had more tolerance, some people had less tolerance. So whatever be the level of tolerance of that person, what all of us can do is we can prepare ourselves in advance. How? By prioritizing the important things. So every day, let us talk about our everyday schedules or whatever work we do daily. So let us take that today we have come to work and we are going to prioritize the work which we have at hand. Suppose you prioritize the work like very important, very urgent, which requires a lot of your time. That is my first priority. Second is most important. Third is urgent. Lastly, less important, less urgent. If you can prioritize all these tasks which you are having at hand into these four categories and give your time allocation based on that, at the end of the day, you will be left with less stress. I won't say it's zero stress, but you will be having less stress at the end of the day. So suppose your daily schedules have been set and you're giving more time to each of these important ones and more urgent ones. So you're spending more quality time on that, and you're seeing that it is getting over, and then you're coming to important, then you're coming to urgent. Lastly, you're giving time to less urgent, less important. That could be something time on your WhatsApp or a Facebook will be less urgent, less important. So in this way, if you tackle and make it a habit that maybe every day when you come to work, you have a small notepad with you and write down all your tasks, what you're going to do and which needs more attention. then it is very, very easy that you will tackle the work which is very important, and then at the end of the day you'll be left with less stress, or you will be able to tackle all the situations very easily. So this could be a habit which you can start practicing. Maybe some of you are already practicing, or maybe you can start it from today or tomorrow. Have a pad and start writing all these priorities as per your priority of task list. And maybe at the end of the day also you can write what is that needs your attention tomorrow. So these two habits can be practiced. Now, after that, I would like to bring your attention to another thing. Our work as professionals, being a researcher and a teacher, we should also have something called a long-term goal. A long-term goal. This goal will help you to focus your energy, and it gives you direction to your work. So, for example, let me say that this long-term goal would be, I want to publish. I'm already a professor in a department. So my daily work is going on. I have my daily schedules and I follow this priority-wise tasking, and I'm managing my work very nicely. But apart from that, I want to grow in my professional life. So what I do is I set myself a long-term goal that I want to publish 2 research papers in very good journals like Elsevier, Science, some good journals I want to take, ultrasonics, or something, very, very high standard ones. I've set this task for myself that within this year, all my research work should be published in these 2 journals. And also I have another one, I have set another long-term goal for myself that I am not very good at research writing. I'm not very good at it, and I want to prepare myself to write very good research articles. So I enroll myself in research writing methodology, a course which deals with research writing. So this is the long-term goal which I've set for myself. Maybe you can also, depending on your need and requirement, which when you want to grow professionally, you can set a long-term goal. Maybe a research article, or you want to do your PhD in some specific area, you want to do a postdoctoral fellowship also. Whatever it is goal, set your goal at this point of time. Because the reason why we need to have a goal is it focuses your energy and direction towards that. And also you will be growing professionally in that area. And you will be, in the long run, when people are clambering up the ladder, you will be stress-free because already you have started doing your groundwork and you'll be away from stress. You won't have to do last-minute work in that. So, like, let me give an example. Now, suppose we organize seminars and conferences. It is announced 6 months in advance. We plan for a conference, say, and we have announced the date, the venue we have fixed. Then we start planning and preparation. So planning is all about whom we are going to invite for the talk, and who are the people who are going to participate, what are the papers, what are the topics which we are going to cover in this conference. All this is planned. Then the preparation will start. So these are the teams which are going to work for the conference, and we delegate all the work to the different teams. And when the date arrives, we execute the conference very easily, very successfully, without much hindrance. Right? We don't have much stress at that point of time, except when maybe one person is coming late, his flight got late, and we are a little bit stressed about it. But small hindrances, that is fine. But apart from that, the conference will be executed perfectly because we planned and prepared for that conference. Similarly, in our professional life also, we have to have a long-term goal. We have to prepare ourselves. Prepare, plan and prepare for what we want to achieve. So have a long-term goal in front of yourself. Whatever it is, write it down. That this is what I want to achieve in my professional growth. Along with that professional goal, I want you all to have a personal goal for yourself. Personal goal. The reason why I'll tell you. We as human beings, we as a personality, if you see, we have different aspects to our personality. This profession is just an intellectual, it is an intellectual aspect of us, that professional growth, what we are aiming at. Apart from that, we have a creative aspect, we have a spiritual aspect, we have our emotional aspect, we have our physical aspect. All these are different aspects of our personality as a human being. And when we develop all these aspects of our personality, then we can say we are developing ourselves holistically. We have a holistic well-being towards our own self. So it's very, very essential that we have a personal goal also. And what is this personal goal? It could be like learning some new art, a new music which you liked very much from your childhood, but which you didn't have time. Make some time to learn that music or an instrument which you want to play. It could be an art which you wanted to develop. You are very good at painting. Keep some time for that. Keep maybe 1 hour, 3 times a week for developing that passion of yours. Maybe you like gardening, and maybe you like even cooking. Some of my male colleagues, I encourage you to even do cooking. It will really be helpful in the household at this point of time. And many of my female colleagues will really appreciate that help coming from the male, from their counterparts. I think they're all smiling now. So it's very, very essential that we all develop our creative side also. Whatever way you want to express yourself creatively, use this opportunity. You have spent plenty of time now. We are in the lockdown also. We don't know when we are going to come back to normal life. So use this time to develop yourself, creative side, self also, along with your professional self. So this is your personal goal. Now, how do we convert this long-term goal? I've set my long-term goal and my professional and personal goal. Now, convert this into your short-term schedules. So, in your day, apart from your daily schedules, you have spent some time for your long-term goal. Maybe half an hour, 1 hour, you can spend on, writing that research articles or consolidating all the experimental information to write the research articles which you are planning, or maybe learning that research methodology which you so much wanted to. So that would be your daily schedule. Half an hour for that, 1 hour for your research articles, half an hour for your developing your research methodology. And on your personal front, keep 1 hour or half an hour to express yourself creatively. This is very, very important. Many people don't give importance to that, but this is a very good way of managing your holistic well-being. Suppose at some point of time you're not doing very good professionally, you're going through a low time. In this personal goal which you have, it will help you to sustain through that period of low which you're feeling at that point of time. It will sustain you. I've seen many people who are in top medical professions. They have some personal goal, like personal hobby which they have developed, like singing. Which has sustained them through when they were going through a lean period or a low period. It helped them to go through that period very beautifully. So it's very, very important that we develop a very personal goal also. Have time to express ourselves creatively. So that is the way we can convert long-term goals to short-term goals, apart from our daily schedules. So what is the next one? Next one is emotional well-being. See, if you as professionals know, we all understand this, that when the days when we feel very happy, contented, peaceful inside, we have days when we feel very peaceful, happy, contented. On such days, we are able to do a lot of work. We are fully efficient, 100% productive. Whatever work we have done, we are doing it perfectly, efficiently, and on time. That is because of our internal state of being. We are peaceful, happy inside. That is the reason for our productivity. We are able to take a lot of challenges also at that time, and we are able to do it. We are able to face challenges also when we are feeling peaceful inside. So, how to be emotionally stable, emotionally happy, peaceful, contented inside? What are the ways we can have this emotional well-being? The first one is spend quality time with family and friends. My colleagues, really, it's a very beautiful with our family. We are sitting with them, but we are our attention is somewhere else. We are either on the phone or on WhatsApp or on Facebook. That is not quality time. You're just being there, but physically you're not being physically you're being with them, but we are not engaging with them. We are not present with them with awareness. So this quality time, what does it do is, when you are there with them, shut all the phones, everything, give that quality time particularly to your members, all the near and dear ones, to your friends, to nurture those bonds with your family. So when these are the people, when you nurture those bonds, you have a very emotional, sound background with you. And whenever you go through a low or a tough time in your situation, or in your life, these are the people who come to your rescue. This is the relationship which will get you out of your stressful situation, which will take you out of your low time, and it will bounce you back into your life because of their love and affection towards you. So we have to give our time, a quality time to our near and dear ones by nurturing that bonds, by nurturing and caring for those bonds. Very, very important. And here I would like to quote one famous governor of Oklahoma. His name is Brad Henry. He has told, I quote, family is the one which is like a compass and gives direction to our life. And family is the one which inspires our life, which inspires us to great heights. And when we falter, family is the one which comforts us. I unquote. So this is what he has told about the family. He's placed the family at such a high level. He found that family is the one which is giving the direction to his life. We falter, it is the one which comes to first one to come and comfort us. So very, very essential to give that quality time, be available for them, be a part of their life, understand them, and know them, give them love and care, and nurture the bonds with your loved ones. Very, very essential. What is the second one? Second one is expressing yourself. So many a times what we do is, though we are facing a stressful situation, we don't express to others. We keep it with ourselves, thinking that, oh, what will they think of us, of me if I express that? And why do we, sometimes we think, why do we trouble others with our problems? No, no, I'll face it myself. And because of this, it keeps accumulating in yourself, and then one day it explodes in many ways, in different ways. So here, the moment you become aware that you are in a stressful situation and you want to express your thoughts and emotions to someone, choose a person, I repeat, choose a person who is able to help you, who understands you. Maybe he can give you a counsel regarding your stressful situation, or maybe he cannot. Just he may listen to you. But that process of expressing yourself is very, very important. It will actually lighten you very much, free you from inside. You feel better, lighter after expressing yourself. And maybe you don't get a solution at that point of time, but you will feel much, much lighter and much, much better after expressing yourself. But expressing yourself to the right person. If you go and express yourself to another person who is also stressed, he may give you advice which will complicate things, in a bad way. So just be wise enough to select a person who is confident, whom you know, whom you can trust, and then express yourself. So this will relieve your stress a lot. So what is the other point? The other one is cultivate good relations. So earlier we were seeing that there were triggers from the family, and at the workplace also we were having relationship issues because of not meeting the expectations, of meeting the situations, and there was some friction and interpersonal friction was happening, and that was causing us stress. So how to overcome that is by having good relationships. How to have good relationships would be the next question. So that we can have by developing open communication. Open communication is a type of positive communication, where you go towards that person and express that this is what is causing problem for me. Can you help us? Can we both get out of the situation? Can we discuss this problem and solve? So in this positive way, if you approach the other person with a intention of getting an outcome out of that, positive outcome out of that, then it will help to solve that problem between you both, whatever the relationship issue is. So this is called open communication. Being open to the topic, talking about that with the other person and finding a solution so that you both come out of that stressful situation. The other one is respecting the other point of view to have a good relationship. So respecting is many a times we force our views on the others without knowing they also have a point of view. So the best option would be here to listen to the other point of view and then understand that this person has got this much ability to understand. You may be having a higher or a better way of understanding. You can explain to them, you can respect their point of view and explain your point of view also. So in this way, you can have good relationships. So instead of forcing a point of view, you can allow them to express themselves also. And finally, you may accept or not accept that point of view, but allow them to express their point of view by respecting their point of view. So in this way, by open communication and respecting other point of view, you can have largely I would say largely good relationships, both at home and at the workplace. And of course, when we are dealing with relationships, you should have lot of patience. You should have lot of patience. That is also another key to have good relationships. Have patience. Wait for people to understand and move ahead in life. So let me share with you another point. What is the third point is, so this deals with the above 2 points we have dealt with the mental well-being and the emotional well-being. The third one is, this is for ourselves, for our own growth. Every day keep some time for yourself as the me time. This me time, what do I do in my me time is I contemplate on the day's activity. Maybe at the end of the day, 5 or 10 minutes, which you can use to contemplate. What did I do today? Was it productive? Am I happy doing what I'm doing? Am I keeping others happy? Was it useful the day whatever activities I've done today? So if you keep on asking these questions to yourself, you will get the answer. Suppose you get out, it was not very productive. You analyze what happened that day, why you could not do the work. Then maybe you can correct it, and next day you can apply. You can apply the modifications or the corrections which you want to do, and next day will be a better performance of the previous day. So this way we keep on analyzing ourselves and we keep on evolving and growing and transforming our own self. So when we transform the people, when we transform and become better and better human beings, the people around us also transform. So for example, once I'll just take a boss A. Boss A was very angry and he used to shout at his subordinates. But he started understanding that, he started contemplating, analyzing, and he started evolving himself. And a time came when he was not shouting. He was listening to the other person, and he was, listening and giving suggestions to them, listening to their suggestions, incorporating their suggestions. So what happened was, he didn't transform the others. He transformed himself. And when he transformed himself, the people around him could immediately gauge, could see the transformation within him, and their response towards that person also changed. They became more cooperative, more supportive of the boss's decisions. They said, yes, boss is listening to us, let us also listen to the boss. And this way, the whole relationship, the whole atmosphere started becoming better. So this is a very, very important aspect of ourself, our own self. We have to evolve. We have to transform ourselves for the better. And when we do that, you can see a positive impact on everybody around us. It's really a matter of, thing that we should experiment with this. So just give it a try and see. Once you evolve, how the people around you also change. A very, very beautiful aspect of learning and evolving. So now I've shared with you important techniques for managing your mental and emotional well-being. Now let me share with you some healthy habits which we can incorporate in our life, and we can steer ourselves towards a zone which is free from stress. So we're making ourselves such a beautiful evolution that we are always free from stress. It's so beautiful, isn't it? We're moving ourselves into a stress-free zone, so that stress is away from us. Stress is not even coming near us. So what are these habits? Let us explore. See things in their proper perspective. Yes. Before that, before even coming to this perspective, I want to tell about challenges to all my colleagues here. So challenges, as we know, like we face them both in our professional and personal life also, right? We have many challenges, many problems which come to us, and we face them. See, sometimes in research, when we undertake research as PhD scholars, we go behind a problem. No, we find out a problem which no one has tackled, so that we take that problem and we find out. We start doing research, maybe to find out a new methodology, a new material, a new technique, a new process itself. So it could be something which we are discovering. So we are here. We are voluntarily going and finding out a new problem for ourselves. The same thing happens in our life, but we are happy to do it. In our research work, we are happy to do it. We want new challenging problems, and we want to solve them, and we want to share those solutions with all the outside world in our research articles. That's what we do. So the same way, the same thing happens in our life also. We come across many challenges, both in our professional and personal life, but many a times we are not prepared for that. So here the solution is anticipate problems. Anticipate that problems are going to be there in professional life and personal life. Some problems will be there. Life is not going to be very smooth for all of us, right? Problems will come, problems will go. But the trick here is to anticipate those problems. When we anticipate the problems, we know that some problem is going to be there and be prepared mentally for it. Be prepared mentally for it, then we have high stress tolerance. We can tolerate, we can have face those challenging situations. When our mind is prepared, then we can easily come out of the challenging situation also. For example, let us take the same example of going to the airport, in the taxi. Suppose I had anticipated that this zone where I'm going to travel is full of traffic jams, and I had prepared myself that let me travel 2 hours in advance, anticipating this problem. I'll travel to 2 hours in advance. So when I'm going same way to the airport and I'm caught in the traffic jam, but now here my mind is prepared. I know that there's going to be a traffic jam, but I've already come prepared. I'm having my 2 hours time in my hand. So I'm not at all stressed. I'm free of that stress. Similarly, we have to anticipate problems in our professional life also. And when we are climbing the ladder, as you keep climbing the ladder from assistant professor to HOD to dean, you're going to face more and more problems. Challenges will come to you, and it depends upon your efficiency to anticipate problems and face those problems that will help you to come out of that. That is the trick. So once you know that yes, problems are going to be there, I'm going to anticipate problems, and you're mentally prepared for it, and you also have that solution with you, then you are going to be stress free. That is the thing for stress. Stress is going, situations are going to come, but you're mentally prepared to face them, and you come out of it. And also here, you have to face the problem. You have to keep the problems in the proper perspective. Perspective means sometimes what happens, we think of the problem is very big, make a mountain of a molehill, and we get fully stressed about it. Here, we have to place them in the proper perspective. So let me give the example of this boy. You're seeing this boy, he's seeing through the binoculars, and he's seeing something, he's observing something. So what is happening, he's seeing through the other side of the lens. So his father, he came into the room and he said, John, why are you looking at the other side of the lens? John said, Papa, I'm seeing the bully in my school. No, I'm seeing the bully who troubles me always, and he's looking very small in this binocular, in this lens. Papa is looking very small. And he was laughing, this boy was laughing. And his father also laughed. He said, yes, my boy has learned how to place the things in its proper perspective. He's seeing the things in the proper perspective. So even though he was a bully, he understood that he's a small boy only, and he'll be able to tackle him. So same way, if we come across challenges which are very big and which are very worrisome, place them in the proper perspective. It's not World War I. Compare them to very big problems. Like it's not World War I or World War II. I can definitely tackle these problems. If you have this kind of mindset that yes, challenges are going to be there, I can face them and I can do it well. I have the ability to face them and I can do it. Trust me, you will not be having many stressful situations in your life. You'll be well prepared to face them. And in fact, you will say challenges, come on, I'll face you. You'll be in that kind of mindset. And that would be the best way to face the challenges. So second is, what is this healthy habit is, do things which you like. So here, do things which you like. So immediately, when you think of something which you like to do, immediately it brings a smile on your face, right? Are you seeing this old person, this elderly gentleman? He's smiling. Like obviously, he's doing something which he likes and he's enjoying himself. So in a day, I would suggest that maybe half an hour, 1 hour, you can do something which you like. So that is why I told we should have a personal goal also, a personal hobby, which we can develop. Maybe an art or a music. You like to listen to some music, go for it. Listen to some music. You want to play some instrument, do that for half an hour. So immediately when you are doing something which you like very much, all the stresses of the day will just immediately fade away. Maybe a gardening or even going for a walk, a small walk in nature. That is also a beautiful way of de-stressing. So whatever you like, you can just figure it out. What is that which I like to do? And in half an hour for a day, half an hour to 1 hour, you can practice doing that. This will drain away all the stress. Let me share one example, of a doctor, a medical doctor, whom I have observed for quite a number of years. So when we go to KMCH, we see a specific doctor for all this common cold and flu. So the CNT surgeon. I used to observe the surgeon that he used to, check the patient, and he used to do all his work. And in between moving from one room to another during the transit time, he used to sing some songs. It would be some classical song, like Carnatic song. He would be singing that, not very loudly, but he would be singing to himself, and he would be enjoying himself and going to the other room. So I would, I was too amazed at his way of working. He's integrated his hobby into his professional life also. He's doing all his work, and whenever he finds the time, he's singing this song. He's de-stressing himself then and there. I was really marveling at this, the way this doctor has found his passion, and he was including it in his daily life. So similarly, we can also find a way of de-stressing. Maybe half an hour, 1 hour, you can just go out into the balcony, observe the trees or the plants. Just go for a walk, observe the things, just come back, de-stress yourself, listen to some music. So this you can figure out what will work for you and what will make you happy. And that if you can practice daily, it will be a very good way of de-stressing. So what is the third one is practice positive affirmations. Very simple but very powerful, because this affirmations is one which you believe in completely. Affirmation is that which you believe in completely and you have full faith in it. So this affirmation is different for different people. It is based on what they believe in. So some will believe that I know my inner self will guide me to the right decision. Always they have this belief deep within them that whatever decision I do, my inner self, that is the higher self, will always guide me to the right decision. Some may say that they start the day by saying each day offers a new start to do my best. Tomorrow is a new day. This day I'm going to do my best. I'm going to give my best. Some people might say that I never lose. Whatever the challenges, I never lose. Whatever happens, I will somehow manage and see to it that I will win. That some kind of positive thinking they're always having in front of their eyes. So this kind of belief, if you have, keep repeating that within yourself. Develop one mantra. I call it a mantra, and write it on in one diary or a place where you can see, and keep repeating this to yourself 10 to 12 times in a day. I can do it. I can achieve it. I'm always a winner. I never give up easily. I always give my best. I always give my best. So whatever it is, whatever you believe in, write it and keep repeating it. So when you do this, it happens at the subconscious level, deep subconscious level. This thing gets noted repeatedly, and it starts affecting the way you work also, and it will play a very positive role in bringing you out of that low time. It will always keep you in the positive side, highly motivated side, and you feel like facing the challenges of life very easily, these motivations. So if you have one example I can give is, I think many of you would have seen that film Three Idiots. It was called Three Idiots in Hindi. In that film, protagonist Amir Khan, he keeps saying all is well, all is well. The whole film, they have this affirmation that all is well, and they face lot of challenges in that film, and every challenge they come out of it easily by saying, affirming this, I am all is well, all is well. And they face lot of challenges and come out of it also very successfully. So this was the beautiful film which I saw, and it was mostly about this positive affirmation. That's what I felt. So you can also make some positive affirmation. I never give up. Or you can say, if you're feeling very negative and low, you can say the opposite. I'm a very positive, vibrant, energetic person. If you keep repeating this often to yourself, you will come out of being dull and sluggish, and will become energetic and vibrant also. That is the effect of a subconscious mind. It is very, very powerful. And we can harness this the energy of this subconscious mind to stay positive, energetic, vibrant in our life. So let me share with you another healthy habit. And this is with being with nature. And my most favorite one, being with nature. So being with nature, why does it de-stress you being with nature is because we ourselves are a part of this nature. Our whole being is a very part of this nature itself. So when you take a walk in nature and you observe the nature with awareness. Not that you put in some earplugs and earphones and you're listening to music and going for a walk, and your whole attention is on the music. Music, don't do that. When we go to walk in nature, we have to observe the nature with awareness. Awareness is the greenery, the beautiful flowers, the warm sunlight, the beautiful, soothing, soothing, cool breeze which you're feeling on your face. Everything you have to experience of the nature. That is being in awareness with nature. When you do that, you completely distress yourself. It is complete way of distressing yourself. This 15 minutes when you go for nature. And I think many of you now are in lockdown time staying at your hometowns, maybe which is very close to nature. You can take this opportunity to be with nature. Go out in the nature for 10-15 minutes, observe the nature. Just be with it. Just connect with nature and come back. And you will feel totally fresh and rejuvenated. It's a beautiful experience if you do it with awareness. And nature has got a lot of things to teach us, beautiful things. If you keep observing nature, it will show many, many things which we have to learn in our life. So, and many of the discoveries, all are hidden in nature. Even in many research problems will be solved if you keep observing nature. That is the impact nature has on us. If you keep observing, when the apple fell down, Newton understood about gravity. Right? So many scientists have found the answers in nature itself. So let me share one small example which I know personally learned in my own life. Was few years back we had been to Mantralaya. It is in the border between Andhra and Karnataka, and this Mantralaya is blessed with a river Tungabhadra, which flows close to that town. So we had the opportunity to be on the banks of the river around 6 o'clock in the evening, and the river was in full flow. It was just after the monsoon, and the river was flowing, gushing with water. And where we were sitting, I saw a lot of boulders, big big boulders across the river. But the river, it was coming, flowing, and it didn't stop near the boulders. It was finding different ways. It was circumventing the boulders, finding some, small crevices in between the stones and just coming out of the boulders. It didn't stop. So I was just observing and thinking, yes, the river was teaching me something. It was not stagnating, it was flowing, and it was flowing with finding out new venues for its flow. So today, when I think about that, I learned something very important about this pandemic also. So this pandemic, it is standing in front of us like a big boulder, if you can say. Then as we flow, our live stream is flowing through that. It's coming across this pandemic as a big boulder. So what our live stream has to do is, it has to circumvent this, find new venues to express yourself, flow around it, find new crevices to come out of this situation. Right? And the same thing we are doing. Even now, if we see ourselves as a teaching community, have we stopped ourselves? First 2 months we faltered, we didn't know what to do, what was happening around us. But somehow we found out the way to express ourselves. We found out online classes are going on, even from home, everyone is getting benefited. Even this class which I'm having with you now, the session which I'm having with you, would not have happened without this new venue, avenue which has opened in front of us. So new opportunities are unfolding before us. We are not stagnating. We are flowing. We are flowing just like the river, finding out new opportunities to explore, to come out of this situation, even though like a pandemic is standing in front of us. Similarly, nature has many, many things to teach us. If you just observe it, no, even the sun rays, if you keep observing the sun rays or the cool breeze, you will learn many things about nature. How nature is giving, it's always giving in the giving mode. Many, many things are there to learn in nature. So I leave this as an exercise for you. Maybe you can contemplate. So you're all very, mature souls, professors, and even research scholars. You can all take this as an exercise to do. And when you are with nature, observe her, spend quality time with her, and she will teach you many, many things. And many of the problems, research problems, also will be solved by just observing her. So that was the beauty of nature. So the next one is being grateful. Very simple, no? Very simple. Being grateful. But being grateful is acknowledging all the blessings that you have in your life. It's acknowledging, yes, I am blessed with all this. So when you acknowledge all the positive things in your life, you shift from a negative space to a positive space. That is the beauty of being grateful. So let me share one example with you of a study conducted by Dr. Robert Emmons from the University of California. He did a study in which he divided people into 3 groups, and each group was supposed to write about one topic. So the first group was asked to write about irritants, what was causing them irritation. Every day they have to write 2 lines about what was causing them irritation. Second group was asked to write about being grateful. Why are they feeling grateful today? So every day they have to write, I am grateful. Today my wife gave me a cup of coffee where I was sitting. I didn't even have to move out of my chair. Right? Many of my colleagues are smiling. Yes. So you got your coffee where you were sitting. So that person wrote, I'm very grateful. I got a cup of coffee in my hand where I was sitting. I'm very grateful to that. He marked it on the first day. Second day, he wrote, I have one of my friends helped me to get the medicines from the medical store. He was grateful for that. So simple things they started recording in their journal. And another group was asked to write whatever happened in their lives. It was nothing, whatever happened, anything they can write. So these 3 groups were asked to do this process continuously for 10 weeks. So the study continued and the process continued for 10 weeks. After 10 weeks, they were all evaluated. So they were evaluated on the basis of optimism, being positive, visits to the doctor, and what they following their exercise regime. They were following a exercise regime where they following it. On all these 4 points, they were evaluated. And they found that, the Dr. Robert Emmons, he found that the group which was writing about gratitude, it was very, very positive. They were very, very optimistic in life, highly motivated. They had fewer visits to the doctor. And surprisingly, most beautifully, they were following all the schedules they had put in their life. That this is the schedule I have to follow tomorrow. And they were following all that. So this was the outcome of expressing gratitude. He concluded that by expressing your gratitude, you come into a very positive space. You become very positive, motivated, highly, enthusiasm about life. So these were the outcomes which he found from the study. And this you can also try out in your life situation also. So suppose we are this pandemic situation itself, if we take, there are 2 ways to look at it. One, we can say a complaint, and another, we can be grateful. Complaint, I can say, oh, I'm sitting in one dark in the house throughout the day. I don't know what to do. I cannot go outside. I'm so scared where this eviction will get me. And many things are happening. Economy is coming down. Everything is happening. Can go on telling, and get into negative mode. That is a negative spiral. Suppose they shift it to the positive mode and tell, yes, in this pandemic situation, I noticed that I'm bonding with all my family members. I'm having a lot of time to spend with them. I'm all the relationships. I'm feeling they're so nice now. I'm having a lot of time to do all the things which I like. I'm getting time to spend for all the meditation, yoga, which I wanted to do for a long time. I was not able to do. I'm getting time to do. I'm getting time to spend with my friends. I'm able to do all my professional work also now because of this new things which we are exploring, all these online classes. Everything is going on except for this pandemic. So I'm grateful for all these things. And if you have seen we're all privileged. We're all having a proper job. Many people are being just shifted from their jobs or getting half the pay. If we can see all of them, we are much, much grateful. We are having all the things by God's grace. We have to be grateful for every blessing in our life. Many people, daily wage laborers, they were walking hundreds of kilometers, without any food or proper transport. If you see that, we have to be grateful. So this, when you shift from that complaining mode to this grateful moment for every blessing in your life, trust me, you will be positive, energetic, vibrant. and enthusiastic in your life. And you'll be ready to face challenges also, if and when they come to you. So that is the power of gratitude. And we can take a full session, full 1-day session just on being gratitude, the power of gratitude. It's a very, very big lesson, very, very important truth in our life, the power of gratitude. So with this, I just want you to just have a journal or maybe a small diary when you can write down 1 or 2 things which you're grateful daily. Make it a habit. And when you're feeling low or stressed, just read about this gratitude. Immediately you'll come out of your stressed stress situation. You'll just come out of it. It'll give a lot of strength to you, inner strength to you. So that is the power of being grateful. So these were some healthy habits which I shared with you. So now coming to that lasting solutions, which I was telling you about. What are these lasting solutions? The lasting solutions, why I call is, it will have a deep effect. If you keep practicing it, it will have a different, it will change the way you think about life itself and life situations. It will change the perspective of your life, change the way you think about life, your perspective towards life. And what is this? First is, shift the focus from me to you. Many a times we get stressed. We keep thinking about our own stress, my problems, my headache, my relationship, my this, my that, and the list is endless. But suppose you shift your focus from to another person, you reach out to another person and help him. The shift has gone from you to them. You just help someone during a stressful situation, you help someone. And immediately you feel that stress is gone, your own stress is gone. You can try this exercise and see. It's a very, very wonderful exercise. And it is not that you have to go to some orphanage or some old age home to help people. You can do it in the place where you work. You can help others, your colleagues, your subordinates, your students. You can help anyone. And you feel very, very positive, very, 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 very positive, and it is uplifting your consciousness when you help others. Maybe you can try it, and many of you would have experienced it also. When you help others, you feel very positive and uplifted. So that in that way, when you keep doing it as a regular practice, helping others, your own self, the importance which you give to your own self takes a back seat. And your stress also comes down, your stress levels comes down, and you will be able to deal with your own life challenging situations very easily. Very easily you can be able to tackle them. That will give the power, that will give you the inner strength to tackle those situations. And what is the other one? The other one is, called breath watch. Very simple and a profound process, which will help you to come out of that stressful situation. Immediately you will come out of it. So this breath watch, the importance I'll just explain to you in a few words. Mostly what happens, in our mind keeps thinking of the future. What am I going to do after this session? Or what will I do tomorrow morning, tomorrow evening, what I have to do? Or it will be thinking about some past events. Yesterday this happened, day after yesterday happened. All these past events only will be coming to the mind, but it is never still or never in the moment. So with breath watch, we come to the present moment, the present awareness. It will come to the present moment. And with this present moment, your concentration will improve. Your focus will improve when you keep doing this breath watch, practicing this breath watch. So many benefits are there of this breath watch. So breath watch is only a small part. Apart from that, you can also practice meditation, which will give a lasting solution to all the problems of stress, all the problems that we face today. It is the solution. It is the solution. And many important personalities. If you go to the Google and search, you will see many famous personalities practicing meditation. Like, Will Smith, Oprah Winfrey, even our own Prime Minister, Narendra Modi ji, is practicing meditation. And why do we practice meditation? What are its benefits? Let's see that. So when we practice meditation, it is like, just for the, introduction, I will just say that it is a deep kind of relaxation. So in this deep relaxation, every cell of your body gets fresh oxygen. It is like as if you're going to a sleep and coming back with awareness. You're aware that you're going to some deep sleep and coming back. So during that process, every cell gets oxygenated. And because of that, concentration, focus will improve. You have a sense of calm and peacefulness within you. And your brain function and creativity will increase. And all the research scholars, I would like to say that, when you're doing research, you'll get out of the box solutions. This is my own personal experience. You'll get out of the box solutions, very good, exact solutions for your problems, because the creativity and the brain function is boosted in this. It reduces because we are feeling very calm and peaceful. Where is the chance for anxiety and stress? They'll just vanish. You won't feel any anxiety. And any challenging situations, you'll face it with calmness and peace. Very easily, you'll be able to face the challenges of life. It gives a sense of well-being. All the challenges which come to you, very easily you'll be able, very smoothly, calmly, you'll be able to face it. And above all these benefits of meditation, the most important is it'll connect you to the source of this higher energy. You can call it higher energy or divine energy or nature itself or some universal power or some universal energy. Whatever you believe in, it'll connect you to that energy. And whenever you're feeling down, low, immediately connect yourself to this higher energy and fill yourself with this energy. That is the beauty of meditation. Many benefits are there, and many people are practicing meditation nowadays. Many people, if you see the Google, no, many sports people are practicing meditation because they want to stay focused, grounded, all the focus on the competition at hand, and they have to deliver, they have to perform to the best of their ability. So meditation is the key for them, that they have found out. Even many sports people, even students about 12 years of age can practice meditation. That is the beauty of meditation. In fact, Dalai Lama, the famous Buddhist monk, has told that if every 80-year-old practices meditation, then there won't be any crime in the next 10 years. Imagine, there won't be any crime in the next 10 years, in 1 decade time. He says with conviction. So that is how powerful meditation is. So today I will be taking you through a small process, very small process. It's called breath watch meditation. We will be just observing our breath for a few minutes, not even a very long time, very few minutes, because I know many of you are doing it for the first time. And don't worry if you cannot do it. Every time your thoughts go out and you're thinking of something, and you became aware that you're doing breath watch, come back to the breath watch and observe your breath. So here what we will do, we will sit in a comfortable position, keep your spine erect as this lady is doing, sit straight, be comfortable wherever you're sitting. You can keep you don't have to keep any mudra, you can just keep your hands in your lap and just observe your breath. You need not do anything. And whenever your thoughts go outside, just bring it back to the present and to your breath. That's all. Need not worry that your thought has gone here or there and you're not able to do. Don't worry at all. It happens to all of us. The only solution is bring it back slowly to the breath watch and continue to do the process. So now let me share that video in which we'll be doing the breath watch. So allow me to share the video. So by then, all of you sit straight, make yourself comfortable. Keep your spine erect. Relax yourself completely. And I'll be sharing a video with you. And in this video itself, they'll be doing the breath watch meditation. We'll be doing the breath watch meditation. So we'll just follow the breath watch. Okay, we won't be doing in that video itself, all the guidelines will be given and we'll be following the process. So let me share this video with you. I hope all of you are able to see this.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So completely relax yourself and enjoy this process.
Breath awareness. A profound process to enhance positivity under the grace and guidance of Maitreya Dadashriji. Breath or prana is the vital energy, the very life force responsible for the survival of every being. It is very well known that the various states of your mind and your breath, both these are interconnected. We have often seen that whenever we are having any kind of a fear, panic, anxiety, or any kind of a stressful situation, our breath automatically changes. It becomes shallow, erratic, arrhythmic, and haphazard. Whereas, on the other hand, whenever you're experiencing a state of happiness, peace, calmness, or experiencing love, our breath automatically becomes very deep, it follows a rhythm and slows down. For many, many centuries, a lot of people have advocated that if you observe your breath regularly, a lot of changes can happen within you. And it has also been now scientifically validated of how just observing your breath regularly can bring about changes in your body and in your mind. So, when you start observing your breath, first thing what will happen is that your mind calms down and relaxes. Slowly, even your entire body and your internal organs will start getting relaxed. With regular practice, you will develop a very sharp focus and increase your concentration. Gradual practice of observing your breath will lead to an increased state of your awareness. This will help eventually to align your body, your mind, and your consciousness with the universal energies, and you will start experiencing a huge difference within you. So, what we recommend is that from today, you can do this small technique of observing your breath for 21 days, just for a period of 10 minutes daily. What we have found is that when you do anything for 21 days, it becomes a part of your habit and a part of your being, which will help you in a very big way. So, for this, what you need to do is very simple. You need to have a very quiet place in your home, a peaceful place. You can either sit on the floor or sit on a chair. Just relax your entire body. Try and keep your spine straight during this 10 minutes, and then what you should do is just close your eyes, just relax your entire body and bring your focus and your awareness to your breath. While doing so, two things need to be taken care. One is that do not try to control your breath. Just your natural flow of your breath, breathing in and breathing out. We'll just observe this naturally what is happening. During this process, naturally a lot of time thoughts will come. So what you need to do is that these thoughts, as and when they come, you just observe them. Do not try to control the thoughts or do not try to fight them out or reduce them. Just let your mind be. These thoughts will come and gradually they will go away. You should automatically bring your awareness and focus to your breath whenever this happens. So, friends, let us do this Simple yet a very profound technique of observing your breath for 21 days, just for a period of 10 minutes, and see what a big difference it will make in your life. So, for now, I would request that everyone, whoever is participating, just relax yourself and close your eyes. Try and relax all your muscles and joints, keeping your spine straight, and slowly bring your awareness to your breath. Just observe the natural flow of your breath. Now, come back to this moment, and slowly you can open your eyes. Take your time and slowly open your eyes. Thank you for your participation, and please keep doing this regularly and see the difference that it'll bring to you. Thank you.
So let us go back to the presentation. I hope all of you were able to do it. Yeah, we're just going to end the presentation. So let me just, 2 more slides are there.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yeah, we're just going to finish it. So that was about the breath watch. I hope all of you were able to do it. So if you feel comfortable with this and you want to practice some meditation, you can try this Maitri Sambodhyan. It's available on YouTube. The English version is available. Then make a note of it. It is called Maitri Sambodhyan. It is a guided meditation. So just select some particular space at home which is peaceful, and just switch on this YouTube video. It will take you through the complete meditation. Very easy to do, and you will experience its benefits very fast, very quickly. So you'll feel very peaceful, calm, focused, everything, all those wonderful benefits you'll be able to experience. So I end my session by saying this, by this famous quote by Roy Bennett: instead of worrying about what you cannot control, shift your energy to what you can create. So let's use this lockdown time also beneficially to develop ourselves both at the professional and the personal fronts, and enjoy holistic well-being for our own selves and as well as for our families too. Thank you so much. So I'm here with you for some more time. You can ask me some questions.
Yes,
If
ma'am.
you are having any questions, you can ask me.
Sure.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Participants, if you have any queries, please ask. Please unmute yourself and ask questions if you have, or please type in the chat box so that the speaker can answer for your questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Chinna Kama, Prakash Kumar Kavalur. Thank you so much. Raghupala, Agni Roy, Praveen, Gadge. Thank you so much. Saeed Karmala. Thank you. I'm very happy you enjoyed the session, and I hope it's useful to you in the future also. That's what I'm hoping for.
Sure, ma'am. So, any other questions from the participant side?
Sujita, Subramani, Kumar, Sachin, Kaushal Chandra. Thank you all so much. Any query, if your stress is not addressed, please write. I will try to help you out.
I think we can wind up the session, today's session.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to our participants about stress management. Definitely, sure, we will try to implement what we learned from the session. Sure, we will come out from the stress.
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for your time. Finally, our heartfelt thanks to our participants also, for the
Yes.
active participants. Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am.
So I would like
Thank
to.
you.
Ma'am, I'm Murugan actually. Thank
Yes.
you, ma'am, for accepting invitation and wonderful lecture and practice, yoga practice, everything. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And I'd like to thank all the FTP coordinators, Dr. Prabhakaran, the HOD, and all the wonderful coordinators and all the participants for your wonderful participation. Thank you so much. It was wonderful
Thank you.
being with all of you. Thank you.
Sure, ma'am.